Chapter 6, 144. Not committing the same mistake again, one half. Translator, Chibi General Editor, Chibi General. That's right, Fang Yuan said, as he snickered in his heart, asking Mo Yao's will. You've been wanting me to use it, haven't you? Fang Yuan, what do you mean? How would I know that you have spring-autumn cicada? Mo Yao's will stared blankly, before quickly denying it. Fang Yuan laughed. Oh, Mo Yao, I am a naturally cautious person. I consider situations where I suffer defeat more than those of victory. Thus, from the moment you lurked in my mind, I had already considered the worst possible situation. What was the worst possible situation? That was the fact that the greatest mystery of me having spring-autumn cicada and being reborn is known by you. I would assume since the first time I entered Water Pavilion, your will had already known this secret, right? Mo Yao's will appeared in Fang Yuan's mind. She appeared extremely sincere as she shook her head. Fang Yuan, are you misunderstanding something? Fang Yuan ignored her, continuing. You knew the secret, but you pretended not to know, revealing yourself on your own initiative. Next, you pretended that you had let down Spirit Affinity House, showing a guilty expression as you purposely gave me the mission of returning Water Pavilion to Spirit Affinity House. In truth, this was a red herring. In order to obtain my trust, you truly racked your brains. You created six-arm Heavenly Zombie King for me and taught me ink transformation along with other refinement path killer moves, assisting me in infiltrating True Young Building, as well as giving me multiple reminders in battle, acting as a strategist. These acts were to lower my wariness. At the same time, you had been changing my thoughts, subconsciously trying to influence my decisions. You had truly insidious intentions. Mo Yao's will raised her voice, showing some displeasure. Lad, what is wrong with you? You are actually speaking of me in this way. Did you hit your head? Mo Yao, you are very impressive. I truly suffered at your hands. Your acting was nearly flawless. I almost believed you. When Giant Sun's will awakened, you urged me to leave this place, to take Water Pavilion and return to Central Continent. But at the same time, you were influencing my thoughts, causing me to make the choice of continuing to take risks. When facing Ma Hongyun, you urged me to help Ma Hongyun, but on the other hand, you altered my thoughts, triggering my killing intent and summoning my rage and excitement, causing me to impulsively attack Ma Hongyun and resulting in my black coffin luck increasing. Honestly, under normal circumstances, I would consider the costs and benefits. How could I be so brainless? When I first saw Imperial Court Blessed Land's land spirit, Frost Jade Peacock, I learned about the conditions for ownership. After leaving True Young Building, I actually recalled some events in my previous life. A certain person. My true nature is not so weak that I would be affected to that extent. All these are the deepest memories of my previous life that have been buried to the depths of my heart. It was all your doing. You struck in secret, and then while my mind was in turmoil, you attempted to look at the memories of my previous life. Mo Yao stared with her eyes wide open. Her tone was unkind and aggrieved, sounding like the defense of one treated with injustice. Fang Yuan, all these were your choices. After landing in this state, you are refusing to admit your mistakes. Instead, you are blaming it all on me. Fang Yuan laughed. Ha ha ha, admit my mistakes. Of course I admit my mistakes. My foundation is superficial, especially when compared to you or Giant Sun. Experience and insight are no longer to my advantage. But do you know what your greatest flaw was? Mo Yao's will snorted, folding her arms in front of her. Lad, I am going to get angry if you continue speaking like this. All along I have been helping you. Is this how you treat your benefactor? Fang Yuan did not listen to her. He ignored this and continued speaking. Your greatest flaw was that you actually sent Water Pavilion to charge at the seven-fingered formless hand. The mission you gave me was to return Water Pavilion to Spirit Affinity House. Why was it that at the crucial moment you gave up on Water Pavilion to protect me? Don't tell me that during these days of being together, you changed your principles and had started caring for me? Heh, I can admit my charisma has not reached that level. This is enough to show the so-called mission you gave me was a red herring. Fang Yuan's voice was plain, but Mo Yao's will listened to it like it was rumbling thunder. She sank into silence. This time she did not refute him. Fang Yuan laughed lightly, continuing, "Other than this, you had more flaws. First, you placed water pavilion on my body, but concealed that fact. Evidently, you were hiding ill intentions, wanting to control me using this rank 7 immortal goo house during a crucial moment. Second, if you were truly going to cooperate with me, why would you hide what kind of will you were? This indicates that the moment your type of will was exposed, I would be suspicious of you. Third, you purposely gave me an incorrect timing so that my body would completely turn into that of six-armed heavenly zombie king. After I became a zombie, I felt desolation. That was also because of you. Fourth, you played tricks multiple times and secretly influenced my thoughts, making me think of using spring-autumn cicada repeatedly. I am a person with a firm will. I do not hesitate. Once I decide on a plan, I will execute it without doubt. How could I have this same thought multiple times? Fifth, since you had little immortal essence and I had become a goo immortal, why did you not lend me Water Pavilion earlier? Evidently, you had other plans. Ha ha ha. Mo Yao's will laughed loudly, retorting, Fang Yuan, your words are contradicting yourself. Don't forget, I was the one who saved your life. If I did not use Water Pavilion, you would have been killed by Giant Sun's will. Now you are saying that I purposely harmed you, lying about the timing of six-armed heavenly zombie king and causing the transformation to be permanent? In this way, I have saved you and harmed you. Am I crazy? Of course you are not crazy. In fact, all along you have been very clear-minded. First you harmed me, then you saved me. All these were part of your plans. If I was you, thinking in your perspective, it is not hard to guess your intentions. After pausing for a while, Fang Yuan continued, If I was a will and had remained in this world for 10,000 years, after my main body was already dead, and my lover was also dead after a failed tribulation, at this point, when I see the spring-autumn cicada, what would I think? The answer is obvious. I would naturally want to make use of the spring-autumn cicada and travel back in time. Spring-autumn cicada's effect is to sacrifice everything that the Goo Master has, merely preserving their consciousness in the goo. At the crucial moment, I would sneak into the spring-autumn cicada and destroy the Goo Master's will, replacing him and going back to the past to revive myself, altering history and changing my fate. Fang Yuan had a sound analysis. He exuded self-confidence and an extraordinary attitude. Mo Yao's will's pupils shrunk. She fell into silence again. Fang Yuan continued, However, for you to fulfill this goal, there were many difficulties. Mainly, there were two big obstacles. Firstly, you are just a will. No matter what kind of will you were, you cannot use most goo worms on your own. Spring-autumn cicada is not only such a case, it needs even more. It needs the Goo Master to self-detonate, using their essence, flesh, and all other goo worms as sacrifices to become the driving force to propel the Goo Master back to the past. The stronger the fuel, the further into the past it can return. Secondly, spring-autumn cicada is my goo worm, my vital goo. In fact, it is not ordinary. You are not a formless hand. You cannot take it away from me by force. I had also found many wisdom path goo worms, and can create many types of wills. Thus, it was even more difficult for you to snatch it. Therefore, you had no choice but to continue interacting with me and waiting for an opportunity in accordance with the situation. On one hand, you needed to strengthen me and raise my foundation. That way, the force of my self-detonation would create more driving force when activating spring-autumn cicada. On the other hand, you needed to create a situation of absolute despair for me, so that I had no choice but to take a major risk, left with no options but to use the spring-autumn cicada. Saying this, Fang Yuan sighed. I was vigilant of you earlier, but as you gradually affected my thoughts, I eventually fell for your schemes and arrangements. You influenced me secretly, causing me to take risks time and time again in Shuyang Building, and even inducing me to deal with Ma Hongyun, to deal with Giant Sun's will in Heilulan. Many matters were obviously disadvantageous to me and irrational, but I still acted on impulse time and time again. You caused me to make strong enemies, to create a situation where I would be desperate. But on another hand, you were afraid of going overboard and causing me to die. Thus, at the crucial moment, when my life was at stake, you had to make a move and expose Water Pavilion in order to help me survive Giant Sun's will's fatal blow. Thus, when I was about to be captured by the formless hand, you activated Water Pavilion and crashed into it. You were afraid of it taking away my Spring-Autumn Cicada. You were afraid of the Spring-Autumn Cicada being exposed. The conversation between wills was extremely rapid, even though they had talked a lot. But after Fang Yuan said that, Mo Yao's will did not reply for a long time. It was silence in his mind. In the outside world, Giant Sun's will had already counted down to 6 from 10. Eventually, Mo Yao broke the silence, clapping as she laughed. Ha 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 ha, good analysis. You really unraveled the mystery step by step. It was very meticulous and clear. To think that I had planned for such a long time, yet I did not manage to deceive you. I am really amazed by you, lad, even as a reborn person. Your talent is simply astounding. If you were born in my time, we might have been good friends. Who knows? What a pity. What a pity. Fang Yan had understood everything. This was Mo Yao's will laying her cards on the table. Mo Yao's will could not pretend any further. At this moment, she chose to confess. Her body was slim and beautiful. A black veil covered her face. Even though she was a will, she was like a night lotus silently floating in the dark. She had a graceful bearing and a grand disposition. As expected of Spirit Affinity House's 36th generation fairy, a rank 7 Gu immortal, a refinement path grandmaster. Even though her schemes were exposed, she was not embarrassed or ashamed. Seeing that there was no hopes of continuing her facade, she showed a plain attitude, extremely forthright. She sighed. Back then, when my main body took a risk to enter 88 True Young Building, I obtained an inheritance in the True Inheritance secluded domain, creating this will of mine with it. I left behind Dichuju inheritance. On one hand, I was preparing for any accidents, to preserve the chance of refining Calamity beckoning Gu. On the other hand, it was a trap targeting Spirit Affinity House. Back then, I had betrayed my sect for Bo Qing, but I did not expect that 10,000 years later, it would be you who came. Actually, back when you refined Calamity beckoning Gu, I had already discovered your Spring-Autumn Cicada. I am a refinement path grandmaster. I tampered with the immortal Gu refinement process. The Calamity beckoning Gu that you refined already had my will in it. This arrangement was originally meant to target pursuers from Spirit Affinity House, because nobody can stand giving up the chance of refining an immortal Gu.